Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here. Day 1 of patch 10.0.5 Affliction is in the books, and tonight I want to talk to you all a little bit about how Affliction felt in the few keys we ran. Single target, AoE, where I think it sort of sits between Destro and Demo. Questions hopefully being answered about, is it the best spec? Just giving a general feel, I guess, well, how AF feels. Now, we've talked a little bit about some Inquisitor's Gaze nerfs with the ring being nerfed. There are some bugs also present for Affliction. There's a handful of them, so we'll talk about them briefly at the start of the actual, like, I guess, information dump. But tonight, the video is basically based around how AF felt in keys. Now, when it comes to raiding and things, my guild's currently progging on Razageth. We're extending on that, so we're not really re-clearing it all at this point, but Affliction is looking pretty solid in single target. Both from what I've seen, it and Destro are ahead of Demonology, but once again, all three specs have varying damage profiles. Demo with PI is very, very strong with Nether Portal. Destro and AF, not as strong when it comes to like big bursts with CDs, even getting PI, but they're a lot more consistent because they just maintain a high overall damage versus Demo being a bit more spiky with Portal, and then Tyrants and Portal and all that. So tonight, we'll cover all that, get into all of it, yada yada yada. But like usual, any week warriors add-ons see here, links to my Twitch and Discord down below, get them all for free in there. Also swing by us, any questions anytime, feel free to do so. And I also want to give one huge shout out to my patrons. Guys, thank you a million times as always for the support on Patreon, really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here, as well as various social media links and all that. And yeah, with that being said, let's just jump right into it. So for those that are wondering, I played Grim Reach. The talents are for this build in the top left corner of the screen here. I played Dark Lair into Grim Reach, Malevolent Visionary, and I played the full Dread Touch trio over here. 1 point in Haunt, 1 point in Tormented Crescendo, and besides that, Siphon Life and Vile Taint. Now, I will say off the bat, I don't think Halls of Valor is a good dungeon for Affliction. I think it's probably the worst one out there, most likely playing this build with Soul Flame. But nonetheless, I wanted to play it. It was the key we had, wanted to run it. Didn't expect great results, but to 20 is what it is. The first thing I'd say is that when it comes to AoE, Affliction feels fine. When you have your Dark Lair, when you have your big 2-minute profile, Grim Reach, Seed Spam, all that. I was still getting a bit used to playing AF here for the first time. I hadn't played it since beta, but I think it went fine for the most part. It feels fine in AoE when you have Dark Lair, when you have Grim Reach, and when you have, your Seed Spam, right? But the thing I felt when it came to Affliction outside of that is that when you get to these 3-target, 4-target pulls without Dark Lair being a 2-minute cooldown, without Grim Reach, your damage feels, I would say, maybe a bit subpar. It's not terrible, but I feel like compared to Demonology, when Demo can basically tire every pack, when you have multiple imps being imploded every pack, when you have dogs chomping every 20 seconds, it feels a bit lackluster spamming Seed in 3 targets and 4 targets without Grim Reach, because it's just not really that impactful, right? It's a 2-second cast, it feels a bit slow to cast, and you're juggling dots, spinning plates at the same time, and your damage just feels sort of, like I say, it's sort of mediocre. Now, it's not terrible, but compared to like a rogue or an enhancement shaman or a class that can do a lot more burst on a shorter cooldown, I feel like that's where the area where AF struggles playing this build. When it came to single target, or I guess prio damage here, in a pack like this, for example, I did like playing Siphon Life in this build a good bit. When you have 1 or 2 mobs left, they all die. You have 1 prio mob left. You can put your UA on it, put a Siphon Life up, and shift more of a Rapture profile, right? Because Siphon Life does indeed bring more single target prio damage, and you can just sort of burn things down, right? With that Rapture spam, having Dread Touch, having Malefic Afflictions up, solid. Now, Malefic Afflictions currently is bugged from what I've seen. When this mob dies here, you can see I still have 3 stacks of Malefic Affliction. That is currently a bug. I've heard it affects Dread Touch by not giving you a damage increase. I haven't verified it myself, but hopefully it's fixed soon. The CD Corruption bug, which is not benefiting from your 4-piece, is still indeed in-game as well. However, when it came to single target damage on a boss like this, it actually felt pretty good. I pop CDs here, we go into Vile Taint, Rapture Spam, and you can see we're bursting to 50, 60, 70k here. The thing to look at, you're playing Dark Lair with Grim Reach. So Grim Reach is basically, it's going to be a large AoE based cooldown. You're going through Malevolent Visionary to get a bit of an increase to Dark Lair IV damage and duration. But your sustained damage, as far as AF is concerned, is still surprisingly high. Comparatively to Demonology that can pop Nether Portal, have imps rolling from the previous pack right into a Tyrant. But that big Demo Nether Portal cleave profile, if you put an AF lock versus a Demo lock, Demo's going to burst higher. But after that portal expires, when the Pit Lord's gone, it doesn't maintain as much damage in single target. Affliction maintains a surprising amount by just keeping dots up, maintaining Dread Touch. It's based off Crescendo procs a bit too to maintain Dread Touch, but like just keep Dread Touch up, cast Train Soul, cast your filler spells, and you're just doing a good bit of damage, right? Now, like I said, the one weird thing is that comparatively to Demonology, you have 2-minute CDs in your Dark Lair versus Demo having 1 in Tyrant and 3 in its major CDs, but overall, it didn't feel that bad. It felt like that now that you have Focus Malignancy around, it actually brings a pretty solid, sustainable single target profile. When it comes to playing Vile Taint, number one, the AoE application of Agony is very good. I'm a bit rusty when it comes to actually casting the spell and pooling shards around it. I haven't played it since actual alpha, but it felt solid. And honestly, Vile Taint is simming higher in single target than even Phantom Singularity is now. So it's sort of a 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing. You want it in plus for those trash packs where we want to put up 7, 8 agonies, but you also want it just for that single target damage, right? So playing Vile Taint plus Siphon Life plus Malignancy, Malefic Afflictions, Dread Touch, Haunt, and Crescendo versus Wrath Consumption, sort of a dungeon-based kind of thing. Some you might want Wrath, some might want Crescendo in, but it actually felt pretty good overall. Solid single target, solid AoE, just a good choice all around. Now, when it came to playing Affliction, like I said, I hadn't played it in probably 2 or 3 months, since probably more than that, since actual alpha and beta, is that there's this weird point when it comes to like having to reapply your agonies where you're close to having Vile Taint off cooldown, but your agonies are falling. So you have to manually refresh them all if you want to keep them active, and then like 5 seconds later you actually have your Vile Taint back up again, which is sort of awkward. Takes a bit of I guess a bit of just feeling it out and like, I don't know, just getting used to it. Not the end of the world, but what we talked about it a bit before as well. Like, I feel like Affliction, whether it's Soul Flame value or just like, you know, I guess I don't want to say niche, but like I guess semi-niche City Corruption value, all that, it reminds me a lot of Destro when it comes to Destruction, the Infernal build, having really, really strong AoE in dungeons where you can get these 8, 9, 10 mob pulls like Naku Defensive, like Ruby Life pools, like Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, where you can get these really large pulls, 8, 9, 10 plus mobs, or pull 2 packs into one, having 15 plus mobs, something crazy, and get insane Rain of Fire value, insane Inferno value, insane shard refunds, and just chain that value, right? Affliction reminds me a lot of that. The single target really isn't a concern anymore, and once again, playing Siphon Life actually felt pretty good. This pack, for example, here, I can put up Siphon Life in this mob and Rapture it down, get more value here, right? Where if I was playing AC, it wouldn't bring as much value. You don't have to apply Siphon Life to every mob in a 6 mob pull. I mean, you're not actually doing it. You're not applying a single Siphon Life. Like here, I want to apply 1. I'll seed and just spam seed like I'm playing AC. But when all these mobs die, there's a chance I might apply Siphon Life to this main target, depending what happens, if it's still at high health for that bit of extra single target funnel Rapture value, right? But I feel like here, for example, Aff's AoE is sort of niche. Look at the Soul Flame damage. We're sitting at 50% Soul Flame, 20% Seed. The other packs coming in here as well. Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, Algathar's Academy, the Tree Boss, places where you can get good Soul Flame cleave value. Even with Soul Flame being square rooted, like soft capped 8 targets, right? You can still get that niche cleave value, right? But once again, comparatively to Demo can still bring big damage here. Maybe not as abusable with Soul Flame, but you can still bring implosions, dogs chomping, demonic strength, Fellstorm, Imp Gang boss-based implosions, larger implosions, harder hitting implosions, right? And when you're comparing Aff's single target to Demo's single target, if you're playing Nether Portal as Demonology, you're probably doing more than Aff is anyways, if not being very close to it, right? So it's sort of I feel like Aff and Destro both have just a sort of niche damage profile, where in certain spots, like Shadow Moon, like Ruby Life pools, like Naku Defensive, you can get massive AoE value, great Soul Flame value, like right here once again, just bursting to 250k for casting 1 spell, right? But at the same time, you can shift to casting Siphon Life here in these 2 mobs, right? Because there's 2 left, more prior damage, more dot damage. I like the way Aff's profile feels. I just feel like comparatively to Demonology, when you're building implosions, casting dogs, a relatively simple, smooth flowing rotation, it's just, I don't want to say not worthwhile. It just seems like it's niche. It's niche. So like, the gist of what I got from running keys today, and we're going to run more tomorrow on things, but the gist of what I got is that Aff single target feels good. It's solid. FM makes it worthwhile. Makes it solid. The Siphon Life build with Vile Taint feels good. The AoE is strong with Seed, but I feel like consistent AoE. Outside of the packs where you have Grim Reach, the packs where you don't have Grim Reach, those 3 target pulls, even those 4 target pulls, Demonology can do more with Dogs, with Implosion, with Fellstorm, with Demonic Strength. Aff and Destro both, I feel like, lack a good bit in those settings, in those 3 target settings where you don't have major CDs. You can spam Seed. Is your damage okay? It's all right, but Demo does more. So when it comes to playing Aff, versus Demo and Plus. I wouldn't be surprised to still see a lot of play of AF and Algothar. See AF being played in Shadow Moon, or Destro being played in Shadow Moon, or to see it being played in Ruby Life Pools, right? But I feel like currently, Demonology still takes the cake. It is the overall best universal spec when it comes to Mythic Plus. But once again, AF is gaining ground, and I don't think it's that bad. I don't really enjoy the juggling plates of 18 different dots at the same time while trying to seed spam and everything else. But I think a lot of it's just trying to shake the rust off. And once we do, it'll feel even better. But like I said, TLDR, the spec feels good. The buffs and single target help. And once again, the major changes today were more based around single target. We got FM, we got PI being moved to a one target node or one talent node. But as far as the changes this week in 10.05, AF single target, I think, is more than enough when it comes to Mythic Plus. Its damage profile in AoE is a bit niche. And in the end, you want both to be good. I think looking at overall specs, Destro, Demo, AF, Demo still brings the most when it comes to being consistent in both single target and AoE, with cooldowns and without, just due to the pacing of Demonology, Minute Tyrant, 20-second Dogs, Minute Fellstorm, or Demonic Strength, yeah, and just faster implosions, right? So AF still feels good. It's fun. I'll play it more, but I don't think it's enough to dethrone, in quotations, I guess, or dethrone Demonology as the best universal spec currently for Warlock in Mythic Plus. Now, when it comes to Affliction and raiding for day 1 of patch 10.05, I guess Warlock in general, heads up, I'll be making a video about this more in depth probably later on this week, looking at like a week 1 raid review, but very briefly, because people are going to ask, how's it doing? This is a filter sort of day 1 of 10.05 for all classes. Now, for the most part, I'm assuming, I sort of looked at logs here already, but the specs that are already doing well on fights, like Demo and Aranog, AF on Teros, are still going to be the specs that are being played the most. I don't think AF's going to overtake, Aranog as the best spec, and I think for the most part, that's going to be the case. I mean, we see 2 Demo locks here. Interestingly enough, so the #1 parse here on Teros out of any class is actually an Affliction Warlock, getting 3 PIs. A PI is a part of the game. It is what it is. Actually, an AF lock. Primal Council, a lot of Boomkin, Sinarth, other stuff here. Warlock's not great this tier either way. It is what it is. But if we sort by actual Warlocks, so Aranog, still a wall of Demonology, not very surprising. Once again, Demo's minute profile, stat cleave profile, very strong in fights like Aranog, right? Teros, basically a wall of Affliction with 1 Destro parse. Keep in mind, Destro very good in single target as well, but very immobile, right? 88k, 81k, 80k coming out of the Afflocks here, just cranking out serious damage on Teros here. Mobile spec. Solid Z timing overall. I also want to say briefly that, so they're not playing Summon Soulkeeper here. Blizzard swapped the spots of Soulkeeper and Inquisitor's Gaze talent tree wise. I don't believe Warcraft logs updated yet, so they're all playing Inquisitor's Gaze, but it shows that it's Summon Soulkeeper here. Just they're playing the eyeball. Don't worry about it. But Teros, still a lot of AF locks here, predominantly AF locks now. Once again, AF is just getting better on fights than it already was, pushing Destro out of the way a little bit. Primal Council, seeing a few AF parses here, a few Destro ones. I think long term this is still a Demo fight. #1 being Demo. I think it's more or less. The buffs that came in today didn't really affect Affliction when it comes to Primal Council. You got Focus Malignancy, you got Pandemic Invocation, which, yes, FM will bring a little more single target prior damage, but there really wasn't any AoE buffs today. So for the majority of this build, I guess this parse, like the AoE application parts of it, were still around last week and the week before, whenever the previous buffs came in, right? So, but still a bit more AF on Council. Sinarth looking like mostly an Affliction boss now, playing the very interesting Dread Touch, Wrath, and Consumption build in this fight, maintaining Wrath, just big ticking damage on the boss when it runs up the stairs. Very strong build. Played it on beta for testing. Very good in this boss. Once again, solidifying itself as probably the best spec in this fight at this point in time. Dathia being a lot of AF as well. Now, when it comes to Dathia, all 3 specs see play. But the big thing is that if you're playing Affliction on Dathia, you're basically staying on the main platform, just doing damage to the boss. You can see here, he does damage to Dathia and the large ad that spawns when you charge them up. Other people have large, like the AoE ads in their profile, but him, just straight up boss damage and volatile infusers, right? So, once again, on Dathia, Affliction, you can't die playing ID Drain Life, right? Very solid here overall, just gets better, right? Kurog, still Destro Cleave Fest. Brewkeeper Darren is a bit of an odd one. If you're playing AF in this fight, you're basically chasing the boss around as one of the, like, DPSers. If you're playing Demo, you can get big Ag Cleave. So we've seen AF played in this boss from people before, trying to get more boss damage in. I think Brewkeeper is still a Demo fight if you're on ads. If you're on the boss, though, AF seems to be pretty strong. And currently Razageth has no affliction kills publicly. However, I've seen some private AF kills in logs. It's actually pretty strong. I'm curious to see where this week goes if AF is played more in Razageth. But TLDR, AF single target is strong. It's solid. Over the next couple of days, I'll have a video coming out on Sims for Affliction, Demo to Destro, and later on in the week, once again, having a review video talking about, you know, where, I guess, day 2, day 3, day 4 parses went for Warlocks in the raid, once this gets a bit more solidified. But either way, AF's looking better. It's looking solid. We thought it'd be good, and, well, as far as rating is concerned, it's looking good. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully the video answered, I guess, any questions you might have had about how AF is playing currently, at least day 1 in 10.0.5. Now, I might try a few different builds tomorrow on stream over the course of the weekend, but the main build I played in Plus, once again, has been like just Dark Lair, Grim Reach with Dread Touch, which has been like, I guess, the general build in the past few weeks, or I guess month or so if you're playing AF and Plus. Now, I don't think AF's not bad at all, but the buffs that came in today to Affliction, honestly, most of the buffs to Affliction have really been based around single target and dot damage. Now there was I think a 5% buff to Seed of Corruption, and there is indeed the bug as well with the 4-piece, which is only buffing 1 seed out of 3 if you cast Seed with a 4-piece proc. But regardless, most of the damage that was, I guess, increased today is due to FM being Focused Malignancy and Pandemic Invocation, but you only play that in Plus. So what we're looking at today in Plus again is mainly AF's single targets, boss damage, prior damage, and it felt fine playing the Siphon Life Vial Taint build. Actually, having Siphon Life around felt pretty good. It gives you the option of putting Siphon Life on a Prio Mob in a pack if the rest of the pack dies, shift from seeding to rapturing in 2 targets, getting some Siphon Life value. It felt pretty good. But once again, I feel like AF and Destro are in an odd spot where they struggle a bit on these 3-4 pack, or I guess 3-4 mob pulls where you don't have Dark Lair, or you don't have, you know, your Infernalist Destro, you don't have your major CDs, right? You have Seed spam. You can spam Rain of Fires if you're playing Destro. You can cast Seed if you're playing Affliction. But the thing is that compare the Demonology. Demo has CDs every pack. Implosion Cycling, Fellstorm, Demonic Strength, Third Dog Cleave, Imp Gang Boss. You have resources in that big AoE profile every single pack, whether it's, you know, 1 target, 2, 3, 4, 5. It brings a good profile and good burst damage, mostly regardless of any setting. Now, if you're in a huge AoE setting, like a Knockout Offensive or Ruby Life Pools, Shadow Moon Burial Grounds, big Seed spam, big Soul Flame value for AF, even big Rain of Fire spam with Inferno for Destro, all that, 8, 9, 10 plus targets, that's where those specs gain a lot of value. Soul Flame value on Alcathar's Academy, Tree Boss, all that. It's a bit more niche when it comes to, like, I guess AoE value, where you can get it and stuff, but I think all 3 specs, Destro, Demo, and AF, are all good, all playable in Mythic Plus. I think that Demo is still the best overall when it comes to, like, you know, if you're playing 1 spec and Plus and not the others, I go with Demo. Demo's the most rounded, good single target, good AoE, short cooldowns, Tire Ripping a minute, Implosion Cycling, Imp Gang Boss. Demo has a very unique profile with, once again, just 1-minute CDs, Nether Portal if you're playing it for good single target, and it has a solid prio profile, but it has almost passive cleave with Implosion, Third Dog, Fellstorm Cleave, Demonic Strength Cleave, all that, Implosion Cycling. It's just good. But AF also feels good. Having FM around with this build here, you finally have a good bit of single target damage and Seed spam. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on how things shift in 10.1 and things, if AF started seeing more and more play. It's solid all around. I like it. It's good. All 3 specs are playable in Mythic Plus. So, rant aside, if you guys have any questions or anything, put them down below in the comment section. I'll be sure to get back to you. Once again, any weekly whereas, add-ons and profiles on the video. Links to my Twitch and Discord down below. You can get them all for free. And once again, one big final shout out to my patrons. Guys, thank you a million times again for all support on Patreon. I really appreciate it. It helps me keep doing what I'm doing for you guys. And yeah, I really appreciate it. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. Now, over the next few days, I'll be making some videos looking at Destro, Demo, AF, Sims, and all that once things are up to date and ready to go. I'll be looking at like a raid review kind of video too, talking about what specs are being played on certain bosses, if they're going to shift a bit. I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of shifts as far as like what spec is best in each fight. Aranog, probably still Demo. Teros, still AF. Sinarth, probably a bit more AF on Sinarth, but you know, we'll see where it goes. But I think for the most part, the specs that are being played on each fight, I guess that were being played before 10.05, are probably still the best specs, but like we said, AF's gaining ground. AF looks strong, and depending on how AF probably has the most abusable profile in a sense, depending on certain like raid encounters. So we'll see where it goes. 10.1 looks, hopefully it's been pretty awesome, and hopefully we have a bit of a better raid for Warlocks we had in 10.0, because while I enjoyed Vault, locks were sort of mediocre. So with that being said, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like and sub buttons below, helps out a ton, and I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.